So, good evening, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. So, whatever you are listening us, viewing us, watching us. So, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today. And this episode, it is Light in the Dark, the Return of a Spiritual Sun. So, today it is 3rd of December 2025. And Julio Carvalho is with us as our special guest today. And it's wonderful to share this moment with these three wonderful people here with me. So, good evening, Julio. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, good. Good evening, Elsa. How are you, my dear?
I am very nice indeed. Happy to be here once again, especially with Julio, that brings to us so many insights, so many clarification regarding our theme, the last one and today. And happy as well because we have friends said that they will come to our chat, to our meeting. That is a meeting without borders. And that's it. With you, Charles, Julio, and other friends, we will go further. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Steven. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Indeed, I'm very happy to be here with all these enlightened people on the screen, which is our sister Elsa, our friend, our brother Julio, and you, Steven.
Great. Great. So, as I said, our topic today, it is Light in the Dark, the return of the spiritual sun. So, today,
Oh, he's back.
so I thought,
Because there was an interruption of a couple of seconds. It's okay.
yeah, probably my internet today is not. Uh, okay, okay. So, especially for us who are in the north hemisphere of the planet, for us, the days grow shorter and the nights are longer, like 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. in afternoon here, it is already dark. So, and it goes up to November, up to March. And I think it's not like 3 p.m., but I assume, Julio, in New York, you're getting dark a little bit early, around the 4 or 5 p.m. But this always brings to our mind that December invite us into a moment of a reflection. The winter solstice, it's a symbol of darkness yielding to light. And it's tradition here in Ireland because this is has a spiritual resonance in many traditions, like stones, all those. What's the name? All those. Uh, um, I forgot the name. Oh gosh, the Dean's Grange, for example, it is a symbol of that. In Spiritism, this return of light can be seen as a symbol of the inner awakening of the soul. It's a kind of call to moral purpose, renew our hope, and we are aligning ourselves with the divine law.
Again,
Look
short
around us.
interruption, I assume.
Yeah.
Steven,
He's back.
Okay, back. So today we reflect on the spiritual light that guide us through dark times, not only the world around us, but within our unconscious. Just as physical sun begins to return, we too are called to bring warmth, clarity, and truth into our thoughts, actions, and our relationships. So, saying that, um, let's start with our guest today. And Julio, how can how can the metaphor of light returning after darkness apply to our spiritual growth?
Stephen, if you allow me, my friend, I think we can elaborate just a little bit on the astronomy part of this question because it's so interesting. Uh, People nowadays might take for granted how good it is that we have calendars, we have GPS system, we have our clocks to measure time, and therefore our lives, at least in that sense, is guaranteed by technology. But not so long ago, we heavily depended on the movement of stars, on the knowledge on how the stars moved in the sky in order for us to do agriculture. And literally, our lives depended on it because if you sow seeds on the wrong time of the year, I mean, you could run the risk of not harvesting anything, and then you starve to death. Even hunting on the wrong season, that will also cause death as well. So our ancestors, they had profound knowledge of the movement of the stars and the sky in general, just to keep track. And the winter solstice, which has not yet happened, because the winter solstice is the point in which, relative to the sun, the North Pole is the furthest from the sun. And this is why we get darkness. But it gets to a point in which it would not get farther than that. That's the winter solstice. So even though it's in the middle of the winter, our ancestors considered that light was coming back because the earth relative to the sun reached its furthest point. So for us spiritists, we can use that as a symbol of transformation because darkness does not necessarily mean lack of light, but lack of a moral compass. When we are completely lost and we have no idea how to handle our inner challenges. When we consider that life is nothing but a school and we are enrolled in this gigantic school called planet Earth, everything that happens to us, it's always for our betterment. But when we don't have that knowledge, Stephen, we run the risk of running into despair whenever we have a challenge. So we are, symbolically speaking, in darkness. So when we remove ignorance and we replace it with knowledge, we consider that light because now we can see. Not only with our eyes, but we can see with our spiritual eyes. So whenever we are faced with a challenge, we're no longer battling with ourselves and with others. We understand that this is actually an opportunity for growth because now we are walking in lightness. We are seeing clearly what the problems are all about. Nothing but opportunities for spiritual growth.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Julio. Charles, Elsa, do you have any comments to aggregate here to?
It's interesting how Julio started bringing the cosmos in order to the relation between the solstice, the winter solstice. That is important because, as you said in the beginning, Stevan, darkness starting dark day, no light, no sun, early, really early. So 3 o'clock, 3:30, I close my curtains because I don't want to see the darkness while still in my mind it should be sun, okay, sunshine. But that is the way that it is. So we have to bring our own sunshine, and Jesus is our light. Whatever we are in the darkness of the day or the darkness inside us, that is the question that you have to do and to talk about, we can always bring light. We can turn the light on all the time. We should do that because otherwise, without the light, there is no nourishment, there is no plant, there is no nothing, no crops, as Julio pointed it very well. And that's it. But we can transform things. We have the power to do. Jesus said, you can do what I'm doing and much more. But we don't believe that. We don't believe that you can transform our dark days in sunshiny days. Forgiving, compassion, love, charity, positive thoughts. Otherwise, depression comes easily to a lot of people without thinking about the light, the inner light. Shine your light, Jesus said, and brilha a vossa luz. That's it. Only that.
Okay, very, very important. Um, Charles, in what ways can we become a source of light in difficult times?
Good question as well. I mean, light is a word with a lot of meanings, isn't it? It's astronomically seen, the photons coming from the sun, more or less in winter and summer and day, night, and so on, which as per these laws which are very well known. What is good is, okay, there is a sunset, then it's dark, but the next day in the morning, there is a sunrise and it's light again. And this is every 24 hours. We get the same movement with a variation according to the seasons. And it's a metaphor we can use for the other meanings of the word light, which is to become some light means to become some understanding, to become some hope, to become some positive news, to receive some news which help us to understand better the laws of nature, isn't it? And in this way, when we talk, we as individuals become source of light, is when we can, if we get some light, some understanding about the natural laws, that we can spread them around us. And we explained it several times already. Spirit is body of knowledge. There are several basic principles. The existence of God, not this old man sitting on a cloud, but as a primary source, a supreme intelligence, and the first source of all things, creator of all which exists in the universe, which is infinitely good. And we have also the knowledge that we have a soul. We are not just how to say, a physical body, and which goes from birth to the tomb, to passing away. But we are much more than that. We have also a soul that survives at what we call death, and that goes back to the spiritual realm before, after a certain time, as per the will of each one, coming back in a new body, a baby's body. So this is what we call this light, this light giving us hope. Death is not the end of everything. There is much more than that. And also gives us, these lights helps us to understand why we are here on earth. What is the purpose? Why are we in a physical body? What is the role of the money and wealth and physical belongings? That we know from now already. This is also very well known, not only in the spiritist body of knowledge, but everywhere. The day we go back in the spiritual realm, we don't take a single penny, a single atom of our physical body with us. We take our soul with exactly what we can call this light, means this conscience, the knowledge, the goodness, the love we have, the true friends, brothers, all this we keep with us. And this is, how to say, this so-called light, spiritual light, as per we have now more than 4 years live every week on this channel. And this light that we are trying to spread around us. And in particular in difficult times, because there are a lot of things happening on the earth, isn't it? Wars, misery, corruption, and so on. But we know all this will pass. We know all this. It will not pass like this. We have to be active exactly in bringing our contribution to have all these things stopped, by several means, by reasoning, by several means, but violence. And this is what we have to do, not to stay without doing anything, but spreading the spiritual light, so that giving back hope to the people who are suffering, and also awakening the conscience of the people which are not on a good track. So this light word can be used in all these meanings.
Great. Great. So, Julio, what's how we can become a source of light?
How do we become a source of light?
Yes.
Well, by replacing ignorance with knowledge. What is ignorance? Lack of knowledge. And anyone nowadays have free access to YouTube, so they can draw upon lots and lots of knowledge, including academic knowledge. Harvard, for example, offers all its free courses for all courses for free. I mean, I find that amazing, that one can actually learn what people pay so much in order to learn for free on the internet. So by gaining knowledge, we become a source of light, because when we lack knowledge, we're bound to make mistakes. There is a book written by the medium Francisco Xavier, and the spirit who wrote through him, his name is Hilario Silva, and he talks about a mansion in which there are so many people, and it's night and it's dark. There's no light in that mansion, so everyone is butting heads. People are screaming. They're in a state of despair. So someone who's walking outside that mansion, Stephen, notices, how noisy and disturbing the whole picture it is. So he enters with a single candle. And once the people are able to see just a small fraction of light, but they still see light, they're all able to walk out of that mansion. And now everyone is calm. So this is also a symbolic lesson for all of us, that when you bring your own amount of knowledge into your family, into your place of work, into society, you might be a small candle. Still, people can walk out of their darkness by watching what you're doing with your own life. Because words can always guide, but there's nothing more powerful than your own living example of what others should be doing with their own lives. So when you are facing moments of darkness, you show them how to behave, and then you're giving them hope, you're giving them knowledge on how to do the same. So you become a living letter of Christ. Our friend Elsa mentioned Christ, and it's very interesting because a lot of people, they will celebrate Christmas in about 22 days. It's December 3rd, and winter solstice is actually December 21st. And much of the things that we do today, it's in relationship to what people did in the past to celebrate winter solstice. Much of the Christmas rituals, it's nothing but a repetition of what people did back in those days to celebrate the winter solstice, like the coming of light. And when the Emperor Constantine in the year 313 decided that the Christianity will be the religion of the empire, he picked a famous date, which was the winter solstice and all the celebrations afterwards, to transform into Christ's birthday. So this was just a historical convenience for the Emperor Constantine to make the December 25th the birth of Christ. But did Christ really born on December 25th? No, he didn't. Historically speaking, we don't know for sure when was the exact date. But is that important? Not at all. The important thing is that he brought light into the world, because whoever walks with Christ will not face darkness. In other words, whoever knows what life is all about, you would not face despair. Well, let me get something straight. You will face difficulty. Let's not confuse problems and despair with difficulties. Life is made up of difficulties, that's for sure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a school. But the major difference is when you gain light through the knowledge of Spiritism, you know how to handle your problems. And that's how you become a source of light, because you are being a living example of how you overcome each challenge that you face. because you have the conviction that none of this happens against you, but for you, for your growth. Therefore, they are not problems, but rather opportunities for growth.
Wonderful. Wonderful, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, and my dear Elsa, it's connected with what Julio and Charlie said, but how can we encourage others who are in the dark, emotionally or spiritually?
Basically, what we are talking since the beginning is about darkness, I think, in the human, the person, the soul. Okay? And according to Spiritist philosophy, every person is on their own spiritual journey, experiencing challenges that help them grow. Lessons and what Julio just said, no? When someone is in the dark, whether emotionally or spiritually, it is often a call for patience, understanding, and compassion from those around them. Otherwise, it can be a hell. Encouragement begins with presence and listening. And Spiritism teaches us that sincere attention and a kind word can awaken hope and trust in someone who feels lost. We can offer guidance not by imposing, but by sharing experiences, shedding light and understanding, remembering that the law of free will allows each person to choose their path. Prayer and the study of the gospel, whether practiced individually or in the home with a family or kids, are powerful sources of strength and guidance. The gospel brings comfort, inspiration, and practical examples of love and forgiveness. And the Spiritism emphasizes that even small acts of devotion at home can illuminate hearts, helping those in the dark to reconnect with their inner light. So there's a lot of hearts in pain around us, but sometimes we did not notice because we are so focused in our own problems, in our own pains, in our own darkness. And Joana de Angelis brings a lot of insights how to deal with this situation that is not good at all. If you are always a person that has not good mood, always bad mood inside your home, you are created darkness around the family. The light goes far from the family, and you have to bring up the light again to our home with a prayer, with a kindness, not only to our home, because our community, our city, what we are exile, where we are spreading from us, goes around, and other people can notice. We can be a beacon of light wherever we are, wherever we go. Yeah? By maintaining our own balance, optimism, and faith, we radiate this light that can help others and find their way. As Allan Kardec reminds us, charity is not just giving material help. Although we are in Christmas time, so a lot of people are really donating for charities, donating for special places that giving shelter for homeless. That is great because it's winter, né? But also providing moral and spiritual support that we can offer in our Spiritist Center. We have this wonderful fraternal assistance or spiritual assistant. Né? I would like to say that ultimately, encouraging others means being a gentle mirror of love, reflect each other. We can reflect the light as well. Né? Patience and confidence, yes, we need it the most. We are forgetting to exchange, to confessar uns aos outros, né? Confession each other, talk each other in order to diminish our sufferings, our pains, and bring light inside us. That's something that we have to think and try to find our inner peace that we can share with the others, in comfort of our homes, our jobs, or our friends. We can really be more friendly talking and help others and listening more that we can do to help others to bring it to shine in their lives. The light is there. The light is there. We have to bring back. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Charles, do you want to say something, compliment something?
I mean, it's not. I think Elsa was quite comprehensive on this one, so not a lot to add. Huh? But again, I mean, we as spiritists, we are optimistic. Okay, whatever is happening, whatever already happened, and even so, the things are now showing and turning. Focusing on negative things and so on. No, we know that all this will end, and it will end maybe even sooner than what we think. Huh? And this is then quite important to keep this, to stay optimistic, albeit in spite of all these difficulties we are facing. And this is also a way to spread light around us, to propose our hand, our help to whoever can contact us, to bring for healing, for also bringing consolation to the people who are facing huge difficulties, and also helping them in whatever we can help. In other words, putting this so-called charity, benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness into practice as much as we can. And we do this with a total disinterestedness. We don't ask anything in exchange. We do it without asking anyone from where it comes, why, how, and so on. So these are really the consequences of these slides, according to these universal moral laws, which have been taught not only by Christ, by Jesus, but also by all the other missionaries who came around the world, whether in all the regions. Nobody has been left behind for this information. The thing is, okay, we need to understand them rationally today because we have the intellectual development who advanced a lot and who made us taking some distance from these traditional religious beliefs. But this is exactly the bridge that the Spiritist body of knowledge brings back, thanks to the work of Allan Kardec, going from this blind faith to a reasoned faith, going from this heteronomy, imposed beliefs, to autonomous beliefs, means beliefs, believing in things that we can understand and which are consistent with our knowledge and our common sense. Hello, Silvia. Good evening.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm
Welcome.
late. Hello, hi Julio.
Hello, how are
Tudo
you?
bem? I'm
Good to
good,
see
thank you.
you.
Nice to see you.
Silvia, Silvia,
Elsa.
yes, okay, my love. So, Silvia, you just came in the. I think you have something good to say about this darkness that Jonah de Angelis uh, um, helping people to bring their own lights to the knowledge of their problems, their inner garden, or something that you can contribute with this our topic today. You read the questions, did you?
Yeah, I've read some of them through. Yes, it's a very interesting subject actually. It's something that a lot of people are discussing because we seem to live in such a darkness, the news and everything. It's always very, very difficult and painful. And you almost begin to believe that you can't do anything about it. And I think in a way, if we think in terms of the world, can we change the world? We cannot really change the world, but we can change the world around us and we can change ourselves. Um, and we cannot expect light to other people to light the world. because it has to start from us. In a way, our own light is the one we need to work on. Right? It's important for us, I think, to be aware of it and not to become despondent. And light, we need to work on it ourselves. We have to overcome the negative thoughts that sometimes comes to us, not only our own, but we also, once we start going to this very negative kind of feeling, we'll be of course, we have a lot of the spirituals influences as well that makes it feel bigger. But we need to learn to be positive to the things, as bad as they are. There is always something to learn from. And there are things also that some of the things we go through, the difficulty, the problems, and all, the very painful moments in our lives, there are things we cannot do anything about it. It's not for us. It's beyond our ability to change that. But we need to see the things that we can make a difference. For instance, if we are having a difficulty maybe with someone, we can always see, have they done something to upset me? Are they reacting to something that I've done to them? And we can go and we can say, I'm sorry, and we can readdress the wrong. Or if we took a bad decision, we can change that. And try to move it, to change, and accept, even though it's very, very painful. I think if we have a belief in God or in a being that is beyond us, because we are always spiritual beings, and we accept that there is life is far beyond what we have here. And we also have the learning that we have come to this earth for a purpose, to learn some lessons. So accept the things that are not up to us to change, and not be angry or fight with God and all kinds of things that sometimes we tend to do when we need God the most, is when we abandon God and and all the spiritual benefits that can help us. And it's interesting that you talked about Gibbons and light and everything, because this week we were studying the book Plenitude, and Joanna makes a very interesting point. She said, because we have to build our own light. We have to create this light within all of us. Our own spirit has to have the light. And this light is all reaching. It cannot, it overcome darkness. The light within, the light that we create within ourselves, because as children of God, as we know we have this light within, and that is the light that will shine wherever we are, no matter who we are, rich, poor, whatever. This light within will overcome all the darkness. And I think this is very interesting. And if you think about in terms of what Jung said we cannot become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So it's for us to see that sometimes we have a dark side and we can work on it and make it better, but not going down and say, oh no, I'm a bad person, I'll never do anything. No, accept that sometimes we make mistakes, that sometimes we have a little darkness within. Accept it, overcome it, make it into something special. And then I think we achieve that light that Joanna talked about, that light within that reaches out and will overcome all the darkness. I think it's interesting that, yeah.
Julio, now
Wow,
is
that's
your turn.
Joanna's your words, not mine.
Está me ouvindo?
Yes.
Okay. No, just to say that if you have things to add in the comments of Silvia regarding what Joana de Angelo said, you can be delighted. You
Yes.
can.
Yes. What we can add is the fact that our perception, the way we see things, shape the way we think. And our thoughts, they shape our emotions, and our emotion shapes our action. Let me repeat that. Our perception, the way we see things, shape the way we think. What we think shapes the way we feel, and what we feel shapes what we do. So when you sow a perception, you reap a thought. When you sow a thought, you reap an emotion. And when you sow an emotion, you reap an action. So everything comes from your perception. So let me share with you guys that for 12 years, I worked in the jail system here in the US, in New Jersey. And during that time, I provided psychotherapy for approximately 23,000 inmates. And it was very interesting to see how most of these individuals, after a while, realized that the best thing that happened for them was to be in jail. Now, obviously, when they first got into jail, they thought it was the worst thing that happened to them. But as their mind cleared, especially when they're using drugs, they realized, oh my God, I was saved instead of being put into jail. This was life way of saving me. So in the beginning, they thought coming to jail was darkness. But as they moved forward and their minds were clear, especially from the influence of cocaine and heroin and all these different substances that alter the way you think, they realized this was the best thing that happened for me. So perception is very important, the way we see things. And this is how Spiritism completely changes our perception about life. And this is on a personal level. But my friend Elsa, what I'm really concerned is that at times we mixed up being good with being naive. These are two different things. Being good does not necessarily mean that you are a naive individual. So for a lot of people, they can change their perception of themselves in order for them to change their lives, but they still see the world under darkness. And what I would suggest to this individual is to check your perception. What are you watching? What is it that is shaping the way you think? Because, we have ample evidence that there are social engineers, people who want to mold the way we see the world and we see things. For example, Steve Jobs, for 15 years, he went on to say that the ice caps would melt. And as a result, coastal line cities will be underwater. Believe me, I literally met individuals who refrained from having kids because they thought the world was going to end. And now, 3 weeks ago, Steve Jobs himself came out and said, listen, it's not going to happen. The world is going to go on. Global warming is something that we should keep an eye on it, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Now, he comes out after 15 years of scaring people around. So if your perception is that the world is going to end, obviously you're going to despair. That will shape your decision. You might refrain from doing important things that will shape how you live your old life. When you go back into the 50s, for example, what's your perception of the world? Well, there were a lot of people who they make a profit on doomsday. They always create the most negative picture ever. And the amount of people back in the 1950s who predicted that we would starve to death, there will be world famine, and a lot of people were so anxious about this very negative future that shaped their professions. It shaped if they got married. It shaped how many kids they had. And nowadays, we're in the year 2025. And what are we experiencing as worldwide? More people. And this is fact, statistics. It's not my belief, because how my friend Charles put really clear, Spiritists, we're not concerned much with belief, with concern with reasoning and logic. And what we see here through statistics is that we have more people who die of overeating than is starvation. This is a fact. Another very important fact, we always constantly talking about the people who need help. Yes, people do need help. However, the world has improved so much. Back in the year when the Spirits book was published, that was 1857, 85% of the people lived in poverty. What that means, if you had 100 people in the entire world, 85 people were poor back in 1857. This is the year 2025. And the statistics is only 9% of the people are poor. Meaning, if we had 100 people in the entire planet, only 9 are now in poverty. Now, this is a lot of improvement here. The world has improved so much. But unfortunately, this sort of things, it's not what goes in the news, because in order for news to sell, they need to sell bombastic information. This is how you go after the news. Only this year alone, the year 2025, we had 3 wars that actually stopped. One of these wars was going on in Europe for 27 years. Did you hear that news? No, you didn't, because the goal here, unfortunately, is not to inform, but rather to make people scared, because scare keeps you attuned to them. So I would suggest to people to please be very careful with what you see, because your perception shapes your thinking, your emotions, and your actions.
Charles, now your turn, Charles.
Wonderful, George. Thank you. Charles. And Silvia is with us. Wow, good, Silvia. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, it's a pleasure. It's really nice.
Yeah, and before we say something, we do have 25 people online with us, and we do have some good comments. I want to say good evening to Rialia Home, Louvienne. Martin said he's loving that we have to be to our own light. Also, he said definitely need to expect and build on things that make our light brighter. I agree. I see everything good and bad as a blessing. Very good, Martin. Thank you. Also, Severina says thank you for the great lecture. So, good to have this interaction with you all. It's always good to receive your positive feedbacks. So, Charles and Silvia, it is with you, my friends. You're on mute, Charles.
I fully agree with Giulio. A lot of medias today and even social medias focusing on negative things or bombastic things and so on. So what we need is, as we told at the beginning, education. We need to instruct ourselves in order to develop the common sense, to develop also the discernment. Because the seductions are everywhere nowadays. Seductions to manipulate you, to make you consume things that you don't need, or to make you afraid in order, or to ask you to induce you to vote to someone, A or B or whatsoever. Don't let you go with this, but otherwise you are like a leaf in fall. When there is a blowing wind, the leaves are really going in all the directions. Okay, no, as I told at the beginning, we have, how to say, the light, and we move towards this light. And this light is the laws of nature, the knowledge of what is and what is not, what is important and what is not important, what is temporary, material stuff, and what is immortal, which is the spiritual stuff, the soul. So with this light, we have some very secure knowledge on which we can use as a reference to exert this discernment. And this is absolutely fundamental nowadays. Look how many people, of course, how many people are manipulated nowadays. Look how many people believe in fake news, fake information. No, let's be strong. Let's analyze everything. Let's not believe blindly whatever is on the internet or said here or there. Let's analyze everything. Let's compare. let's check the informations. Let's use this discernment to determine whether it makes sense or not. Is there some hidden interest behind this action, as Giulio just explained, how to make audience into these news channels? And let's not fall into these traps. And for this also, I thank God and my guardian angel, whoever, to have me to put me in contact with the spiritist body of knowledge, which is helping me a lot in this way.
Jovinha, my dear.
Well, this is thinking about again light and the influence that we have. As I said before, we needed to create our own light, because that's the only one we can manage and we can work on.
You broke up. It's not you. It's my laptop broke up. So
Oh, sorry.
Silvia,
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, now
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So just saying that the question, like Charles and Andrew was saying, is unprecedented what we have now, because before we could take a newspaper and read it. And, some of the papers that used to be extremely important for us to read, they were very, very conscientious in distributing the news. But now it's so quick, and we have so much fake news because everyone can put out their news, and especially social media, that I think can be extremely detrimental to a lot of people. And it may be going to what Julie was saying before, being afraid to the point that you would not even have children or wouldn't live in places, and work from fear, because that's one of the things that you can control people through fear, or something horrible, what's going to happen. This really frightens people, and I think some of the media use it all the time. It created these enemies and things, to the point that most people now are afraid of everything. And going back again, we needed to really sort out what we want to see and what we don't want to see. Um, some of the news, is not worth watching, although we needed to read some news because we need to be aware of the world where we live, but really learn how to filter this and try to connect to what is good. Because I think one of the things we find, yes, the world is difficult. There is a lot of bad things happening. There is a lot of things that, even 5 years ago you didn't find. But on the other hand, I always think that there is more good people in the world than there is bad. Because if the number of bad people were greater, I don't think we could survive. And I think Julio made a point as well that I thought was very interesting, when he said that to be good doesn't mean that you be naive. And I think this is a very important point, because goodness, as far as I can understand from the teachings of the Spirit, is something that you do in a very conscious way. You determine yourself, I am going to act in a good way, in a correct way. I'm going to reach out to other people, and I'm going to do to them and respect them the way I would like them to respect me. Is something very, very conscious. And I think if you have that kind of purpose in being good, you're not naive, because being naive, you can accept anything without judgment. And we need to be able to judge things, to see what's good and what's bad, what's so. And somebody's asked me, yeah, but you talk about goodness and badness, and how do I know when I'm good, and how can I be good, and if I'm being good? It's questions people sometimes ask. And how, I think, to me, is, how do I know I'm being good? Or because then I think, am I being treated the way, am I treating someone the way I would like to be treated? Am I respecting them, their way of thinking, even if I don't agree with them? And sometimes it's a bit difficult. And I think that that's part of being, uh, like Kardec says, that being a spiritist is not that being perfect, but he knows us for the effort that you make every day to be better, to be good. And I think that's what we have to try to improve. And going back to the questions, I think 919 of the Spirits book, when he says, every night, I think it's Saint Augustine who says that, Saint Augustine of Hippo, actually, he says, I look back in my day and see what I've done. If I've done good, could I've done better? And I think that's one an analysis that we have to see about for ourselves, goodness, because that goodness will create light. And if we treat people with respect, they will treat us back with respect. And if they don't, we move away. And at least maybe one day they will get into it. It will be like the seeds. One day it will grow when the person is ready. The important thing is that we treat others with the respect that we would expect them to give to us. And I think that's what, the light that comes. And also, I think one of the important, going back to one of the questions you were discussing, how do we spirits, from the disconnect spirits, can help us? Because if we create this ambient of peace, of harmony, they will help us. They will be around us, giving us incentive and helping us to fulfill our own decisions. Or the other way around as well, doesn't it? It works the other way around as well. So I think, it's something to think about, really meditate on, especially this time of the year when we say, quoting the words from the prophet Isaiah, the Prince of Peace is coming to us. A child is born, and he'll be the Counselor, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And we are now in the Advent waiting for, of course, probably was not the day, but is the time that we remember that the Lord of Light came to the world. So I think it's a wonderful time of the year, really. Like the song says.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I do really like this time of the year, especially for the messages and uh, especially with the messages. This time of the year getting late, getting dark early, so I like this. I to be honest. And also, we do have here some comments. Juana says, it's one thing to do good, and it's another to be a fool and let others take advantage of the good you do for them. Martin commented on her, saying, true, Juana, but you never be a fool. Those who take advantage will inevitably be held accountable in this life or the next. Yes, so it's good. Um, it's good to have all these interactions, and we are 4 minutes left, and I think it's time to make the run for the final message. So let's start from my right one. So, Charles, what's your final message for today?
Final message is again, stay optimistic, don't worry, go study, listen, investigate, listen to your heart, come closer to your guardian angel, put you in synchrony with him, try to become every day a little bit better than the day before, and with this, you will unavoidably move towards light.
Thank you. Thank you. My dear Julio, what's your final message, my friend?
Well, since I brought the issue that we should not be good and at the same time naive, these are incompatible positions in life. Let me just clarify. So, what our friend made our comment that you should be good but not being fooled by someone. In part 4 of the Spirit's book, we have hopes and solace. And one of the questions that has to do with ingratitude, this is question 938 of the Spirit's book. And it talks about the fragility of friendship ties and receiving ungratefulness. This is a situation in which you help someone and that person not only says thank you to you, but they actually stab your back. What do you do now? Does ingratitude hurt? Of course it does. But the question gives us a very powerful answer. What do we do when we are good to someone and they betrayed us? Well, first of all, we should be really aware that the good that we do to others, we're doing it to ourselves. We're not naive. We know that when we sow something positive, we're going to reap something positive. It would not necessarily come from the person that we have helped. Most likely, we have received the benefit way before we have helped others individuals, because here we study that the supreme intelligence and its divine providence gives much more of what we have given to life. So we are, in great debt. But when we help someone, we are really helping ourselves, Stephen. This is why Allan Kardec, in his wisdom, said that without charity, there is no salvation. In other words, when I help other people, I'm actually erasing my own moral debts. So I should be happy that I have helped someone, not what they have done with my help. If they were ungrateful, that's their problem. I agree with what the other person replied to the person who made the comment, because ungrateful people are selfish, and eventually they're going to meet other selfish people. That's what the answer gives. But most importantly, it's the fact that when we do help someone else and they are ungrateful to us, this could be a test of our true goodness. Are we helping someone because we are making an investment, or are we truly helping someone? For example, let me speak money-wise because it's easier to exemplify. If I help someone just because they're rich, in the back of my mind, consciously or unconsciously, I'm saying, I'm going to help this guy because next week I could be in trouble and he has the means to help me. So was that truly help or an investment? Well, it's probably an investment. But if someone who's poor asks me for help and I don't help, well, maybe it's because I know that person cannot help me back. So ungratefulness is a way to test if I'm truly helping someone or I am investing on someone else by guaranteeing my future. If I help someone who can help me back, maybe it's not truly help. And we can only exercise virtue by practicing. And that's how we are approached by people who are in need of our help. And the more we help, the more we are helping ourselves. But remember, if you help someone and they fooled you, that was their problem. But if you keep helping someone who you know is going to fool you, that's your problem. Being good does not mean that you are naive. And thank you all for listening and inviting me to this show.
Thank you, Julio. Thank you. My dear Silvia, you're the next.
Okay, just very quickly, the thing for Juana. The thing as well that being good, it doesn't necessarily that you have to say yes all the time. If some people are difficult or you know that they're going to cause problems, it is okay to say no. You know, we can we need to see our own protection as well. Being good does not mean that you have to be all the time, serving others, but sometimes you need to say no. It's important to learn that. It's just saying goodbye. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I came in late. It was a very interesting conversation, and I wish it could be earlier. But just think positive, think light. This is a season of peace. This is a piece of love. And I know a lot of people says, oh, it's very commercial. It is commercial, can be as well, but make it a little more sacred for yourself. And never forget that even though it's commercial, they're always buying something to give to somebody else. So even in the commercial, there is some positivity on that. And anyway, just I wish you all a lot of peace and light, and may God bless you all. And thank you for inviting me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. My dear Elsa, she has another meeting, so she needs to run. So let me share our announcements here for next week. So next week we have Munir with us, and the topic is year-end reflection and the soul's journey preparing for a new cycle. So Munir will stay with us on the 10th of December at 9 p.m. London time. Also, every Saturday, we have the Mediums book online study at 10:30 a.m. So everyone is more than welcome to join Charles, Munir, and Guilherme's team. European Student Gathering we have on this Saturday, and the topic is how to engage young people into spiritist activities. And this is talk, especially for you, Julio, it is good for you to know that Breno Malucelli is a teenager from Denmark and will give this talk for us. So it's wonderful to see
Very promising.
these young people starting to talk.
I'll be rooting for his very successful lecture.
Yeah. Okay, so next year we will dedicate the year in memory of our dear Marlene Nobre. So all the 12 talks we're gonna have next year, it is about her. Julie is one of them. Also Charles and Silvia will talk about Marlene Nobre, which was a wonderful person among the Spiritism movement, especially the international Spiritism movement. Please keep reading Spiritism magazine. It's free. You can find the latest edition on this website. And please support BUZZ, Spiritist Society, Irish Spiritist Federation, and the Spiritism movement, Francophone movement. In those websites, you are more familiar with which spirit center is close to you. And please keep listen Cardiac Radio.
The slides are not moving anymore.
Oh no. Probably it's my internet because it's moving for me. So yeah. Oh, I stopped sharing. Okay. Anyway, thank you, my friends. Silvia, thank you for making today. Julio, thank you so
Wonderful
much,
to
my
be
friend.
here.
And I'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Julio. Nice to see you, Charles.
Bye, Silvia. Bye, Charles.
Bye, Steven. God bless.
Bye, Steven.
Bye-bye.
Bye.